fine. How do we become stressed? Taking you by the hand and bringing you in the wonderful world of stress, summarizing a paper published by Bruce McEwen and Weinfeld, no? That I think is one of the best papers I ever read, okay? How do we become stressed? First thing you need to detect a threat, relative or absolute. When this happens, you will produce the stress hormones that will allow you to do the only two things you can do in front of a stressor: you fight or you fly. Now, your brain takes for granted, because your brain is not stupid, it says, aha, that was a big mammoth, so they fought or they fly, so they lost energy. You're going to have at some points to replenish your energy reserve, if not, you're going to die. So the same stress hormones that you produce will go back to your brain to tell you you're hungry. You have to find food to replenish your energy reserve. This is the beautiful system, what we call allostasis. The problem with stress, as I told you, only becomes when stress is chronic. For example, a child growing up in an adverse family environment. Sarah threatening your ego every Tuesday at the coffee machine. Okay? When this happens, there's two laws that we're starting to see in science. The first law, you can be certain that each time your brain will detect a threat, it will mount a stress response. Won't take a chance. The first thing we think is happening is that you cannot ask a system to mount a stress response each time you detect a threat without this system starting to be dysregulated. Now, we call this a dysregulation. Our brain calls this an adaptation. It says, hey, there's a lot of mammoth around, so adapt. What Selye called a stress adaptation. So the stress hormones that you see are going to start to show dysregulation. There are 4 patterns of dysregulation that Bruce and others have described. I'm not going to go into details. These 2 are the interesting ones. In some cases, you will have very high levels of stress hormones running around. They don't go back down. This is what you see in depression. Some depressed people have too much cortisol on board. In other cases, it is as if one day the body gets up and says, I'm on strike, not doing it anymore. So you don't have enough level of glucocorticoid, a hyposecretion of glucocorticoid. This is what you see in burnout. Okay? So this is a very interesting marker of these differential states. There are 4 disorders at this point who are showing this not enough hypocortisolism that I think is very important. I will name them to you so you can see that they have something in common. First one is burnout. The second one is post-traumatic stress disorder. Third one is fibromyalgia. And the 4th one is chronic fatigue. Okay? So this will become eventually markers, and it's perfect. So this is where we are. Things are starting to get a bit dysregulated. The second law, which refers to the allostatic load model of Bruce, is what I call the domino effect. Every hormone, every metabolic compound in your body is like a very nice family with cousins and friends and sisters. They like each other. So if one starts to be dysregulated, all the others will start to be dysregulated because they want to help. And as a function of your genetic background, your lifestyle, you will develop one of these stress-related disorders. First, your body mass index will increase with abdominal obesity. Okay? And I'm going to give you the way I understood it with Mary Dahlman. You know, we had dinner one night, and I said, Mary, this is such a complicated issue. How can chronic stress lead to abdominal obesity? And I said, give me a cartoon. I'm going to give you her cartoon. Each time you mount a stress response, each time you see a threat, your body has to get the energy everywhere in your body. It has to get the lipids and the glucid everywhere in the body in order to mount a stress response and give you enough energy. And then the body tells you, hey, not done, no? Every day I have to do this. But I found something interesting. I found that if I'm storing the lipid and the glucids you need to mount a stress response, if I store it here, I can use it faster. And since you're a power user, there. Okay? So the body is trying to help you by storing it there, making it easier for you to use it. Okay? So this is the $100,000 question. Are you sure 10 minutes left? I started at, yeah, okay. Why do more people say they are stressed these days? Okay. Why is it that the heart conditions, etc., are so high? I'm going to take 5 more. Why is it? There's no more mammoth. Well, because your body does not make a difference between an absolute and a relative stressor. This is what I think. Basically, what it means is that your body does not know it's in 2008. Let's make a deal. This is you and I in prehistorical time, and this is you and I stuck in traffic this morning. Okay? For sure, if we come face to face with this mammoth, it is going to be an absolute stressor. You and I in the traffic is a relative stressor, depending on your interpretation. Let's take for granted that your brain does not make a difference between this absolute and this relative stressor. It says, listen, you told me there was a threat, I'm mounting a stress response. It will produce stress hormones that will take for granted that you lost the energy. In the case of the mammoth, it's true. You lost the energy, you kill the mammoth, or you fly as fast as you can. Very difficult to run in a car. So the little feeling you have in a car, this is the energy mobilization. But the brain does not necessarily know that you did not lose the energy. So sends back the hormones to the brain and says, you're hungry. You have to replenish your food to save up for energy. Hey, in the case of a mammoth, it's not done. You have to kill another one. In the case of the traffic, you go back to work, you go to the machine, you buy some nice carbohydrate because this is, energy that is easy to use. This is what your brain wants. In the case of the mammoth, you will always replenish your energy reserve. And in the case of today, you will deposit fat at the wrong place. Okay? Now, how do we lose control over stress? Okay? This is what I want to talk to you. I took a lot of times at the beginning in order just to wrap this up, but after that I'm going to go a bit faster. You're stressing me with your numbers. No, I'm joking. I want you to understand, because it's a long introduction, but with this, are you ready? We're going to go fast, but watch me. Okay? How do we lose control over stress? What is it that makes you lose it so you're going to end up there? Why is it that Sarah is there and not Chantal? What makes the difference? This is what I've been doing for 17 years, and what I think is happening is the following. Each time your brain detects a threat, it will mount a stress response that makes you do everything I've told you. You lose energy, replenish it, etc. At the same time, the same stress hormones will go back to your brain and will prevent you from detecting what is threatening from what is non-threatening. So that two things can happen. Everything becomes threatening. That's called anxiety. Or nothing is threatening anymore. This is called a depression.